Well, okay, enough procrastination. Not holding me back now today. I got my coffee, and she's all ready to go. I just need to get at it. Sorry for the shakes, handheld. Okay, gonna try this camera angle. This thing really is like right in my face. At least I got the right tools for the job. I really tightened this up the last time I rebuilt it. Maybe a bit too tight. There you go. Just needed a different angle. All right, let me get these out and I'll be right back. When I do the new fuel lines, which should be coming soon, as soon as I can afford it actually, I'm gonna put a pressure regulator and yep, and that's why. And I'm gonna put a relief valve, like a spigot on the line at the lowest point, so whenever I have to do this again, because I know I'm going to do it again, I'll actually be able to drain all the gas out of the line before I do this, because that wasn't actually nothing. That was a couple tablespoons of gas. But the first time I rebuilt this, there was pressure in the gas tank and there was fuel shooting all over my intake manifold for a few minutes, and it really sucked. Anyway, I almost got these out. I'll be right back. You need to relieve the pressure on these hoses, or else they won't pull out of the throttle body. You can just unhook the throttle body and pull it away from the hoses, but it's easier to do this. At least I find it's easier to do this. It doesn't take but a couple minutes to take the half-inch bolt out. So I pre-loosened all these screws or bolts, I should say, all these silly Torx bolts. It's funny because the carburetor is American, but half of this truck is metric. Really weird. You know, you'd think American company, it would be all SAE, but for some reason there's a lot of 14 millimeter, 15 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 8 millimeter, 13 millimeter bolts on these Chevy vehicles, and it's kind of disheartening. Not that I don't like metric. I actually like metric. The tolerances on metric stuff is usually tighter and harder to strip a metric bolt than it is to strip an American bolt head. I know that for sure. Well, I don't know why this thing is so tight. I didn't put any Loctite or anything on these. This bolt just is tight the whole way out. Well, I'll make sure I clean it and rethread it before I put it back together, so I don't end up stretching or stripping, even worse, the threads inside the bottom of the throttle body. But I was only going to rebuild this top portion. I wasn't even going to rebuild the bottom portion. But since the kit comes, with everything, just get it all done all at one time. Should make it easy. Oh, that's why it was under pressure. The angle on the feeder fuel line. I'm gonna have to bend that line a little bit when I put it back together. Oh, there's gas coming out. Well, there it is. I'm gonna replace these two injectors real quick. These are actually new injectors. These are not even a year old, and they're already dribbling like they're clogged up with junk. So I'll put the two new ones in, and I'm gonna put a new the gasket in here, the new plate that goes in here, and then this will be done. And then I'm gonna take that apart and do whatever I'm going to do with that. I'm going to take this out soon and clean it, because that's the fuel pressure regulator thingy right there. And I'm going to take the throttle position sensor off, make sure that's all good and clean. I'll even check and see if it's getting the right resistance. So all I got to do is get this off, and the rest of the vacuum hose is on the front, and the body can come out. So in removing all the electronics and all the vacuum hoses, I found a problem here. The front vacuum lines, I'll show you in a second as soon as I get these all out. One of the lines got pulled out, so that's probably a really huge issue also. I'll let you know what it goes to as soon as I figure out where it goes to. But here you go. This cap was just loose here with no vacuum line in it. Now the line is actually right here. You could see me moving it right here. This one. And there's too much tension on it. That's why it pulled out. So I'm going to have to fix that. Another task. Let me go reroute that line to take the tension off of it. Well, comes to find that line goes to the evap canister, and it didn't only pull that one out, it also pulled out this other one that you can't see, which goes to the back of the throttle body also. So I had two vacuum leaks going from this one tube being pulled on, and I see that happened when I was remounting this brace for the oil fill and the well, actually that's not even mounted anymore. I need to fix that too. You always find more trouble when you're fixing stuff. But when I had the transmission out, I must have inadvertently yanked that out. Actually, it probably pulled out when the engine was hanging down when I was mounting the transmission. So it'll be fixed this time now. Have good vacuum. While all this stuff is out of the way here, I'm gonna put a new thermostat in here, 195, take the 165 out. It's crazy because now my face is literally almost right up against the camera here. And I'm sure I did empty 2 gallons of coolant out, but I'm almost positive there's still going to be more to spill out, because this hose here, yeah, the hose is full of coolant. All right, let me get this off real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, well, it only had about a cup of water, it seems. So, out with the old. I'm gonna reuse the O-ring because it didn't come with one. Don't know why, but it's not the usual company I use anyway. So a friend of mine gave me this thermostat. My buddy Keith, the guy with the 1969 Ford Falcon that we'll get back to eventually. Well, never had this kind of problem getting one. He's on. There you go. Okay. There you go. Hopefully this gives me at least another 20 degrees at least. Because, wow, really in the way here. Sorry guys, I'm going to be in your way a second while I get these bolts started. Okay, there you go. Anyway, when you do this, my electrical harness mounts on this bolt, and there's a ground wire that goes on this bolt over here, that one right there. So just make sure you don't forget that ground wire. I did that once and it wasn't happy. So let me do some wrenching and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got that all torqued down. Let's put this ground back on here. It's nut. Mount the harness back on here. And put this nut on. Yeah, these are some of the American stuff, 9/16. Thank God. I only have my American stuff out right now. I didn't bring any. Oh yes, I did bring my metric line wrenches out. I have to do this left-handed so my shoulder doesn't hit the camera, because I thought maybe the fuel lines might be metric because the way they mix and match on these trucks, it's crazy. Okay. All right, there you go. I did that to try to alleviate the fact that my engine only heats up to about 120 degrees, and that's at least 40 degrees shy of what an engine should operate at. It creates fuel inefficiency having a too cold engine. You know, that's why you warm up your engine when you start up, you know, get the oil going around, get all the pressures built up, all that stuff. It also gets the cylinder walls to a temperature to where the fuel will burn off better. Everything works better between 160 and 190 degrees, so I need to get at least up to 160 degrees. Anyway, let me clean this carburetor up a little bit and we'll get putting that back on now that I got the thermostat done. Out with the old and with the new. So I clean the mating surfaces and got a new gasket here. I don't know why they give you this one. I guess this is for when the fuel goes to both sides of the manifold, I guess. It's junk though to me. Alright, so I'm going to mount this thing and then clean up some of the other components while I'm doing it. Readjust this camera because I obviously hit it with my shoulder when I was doing the thermostat. There you go. I'm not torquing these to any number. I'm torquing these to where I can feel the gasket compress. And that should be enough. Otherwise that happens. That should be good enough to prevent any leaking. Yeah, that's fine. Get the new gasket on there. All right, be right back. Time to start rebuilding the top half. All right, top first. I'm actually thinking that vacuum leak may have been creating my power loss. That and the fact that the engine wasn't heating up give me any really good fuel economy. I think 2 of these are actually longer. I gotta make sure I keep these together. I think those are all long ones and these are all short ones. Got this handy dandy tool from Walmart for pretty cheap too. Yeah, these are the short ones. It's this tool has a bunch of replacement blades that you put in. Really cool tool for very cheap. I think it was like $8 or something like that. And it has 8 attachments, so kind of like $1 an attachment. Pretty good deal, really. Once I get these out of here, I'm gonna keep these and I'm gonna soak these and see if I can clean them up. I'll just save them in the boxes from the new ones, just in case I'm ever desperate, because these are, oh, that was a long one also, okay. Because these are, you never know, injectors. These are working. Come on. Easy. Okay, there you go. And I'll be taking this out. You know, I tried to get through. There's a set screw in here to adjust this. They have adjustable pressure valves or whatever these are called. And you can see where I drilled it to try to get it out, and I never completed the mission. But it's not a mission for today either. I'll be rebuilding this thing again. That's a guarantee. I just do this. These are maintenance things to me. You know, you want to keep your rig running right. You got to do something to keep it running right. They don't just run right by themselves. That's for sure. I have never gotten one of these gaskets off in one piece. Don't know why, but they're just horrible. Alright, that should be able to let me get this out though. Let's take the rubbers off. And give it a good push. There you go. One injector free. I mean, you can see I just did it, because look at these screens. These screens are brand new. I don't know. Fuel economy is just a desperate thing for me right now, because 6 miles per gallon is unacceptable. Because when I bought it, I was getting 10. And I get the rubber off here. And that little metal, don't forget that metal thing. That thing holds that rubber washer in place somehow. I'm not sure how it works, but it has something to do with this lip right here. It helps compress the rubber washer, so you don't get fuel coming back flowing up through the top. All right, I'm gonna clean this up and I'll be right back, because this is stuck. Time for a razor blade. Well, I got like 98.7% of the gasket off, but while I was wiping it down, I noticed 2 things. This one side of this injector, it looks like it's been getting water in here. You see it's discolored in the bottom, like rust. And also on the return side, at least not the fuel feed side, on the return side, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. There's like some black crud that was in there, like in between the plastic seal. So I'm going to clean that out real quick, but yeah, ready to put it back together again. So I got this thing all cleaned up, and I rebuilt this last year, so I know I saw this last year. If you look down inside here, you see this little, there's like a little dent, because somebody put the thing in backwards. You see there's a pin on these things, and that pin goes into that slot right there, and on the opposite side right here. I guess it's so they make sure you put it in where the positive post is on the correct side. I have no idea why, but when I first rebuilt it, I saw that when I took it out, that the one injector was smashed in here, and that's probably why it was running like complete crap when I first rebuilt this. Anyway, I also figured out something else. I asked the other day, what in the world, I'm going to drop this in my hand, hoping I drop it, this tiny thing is. Now I know what it is now. Let's not drop it. There is a tiny little screen in here where the fuel comes in. So it's like your last line of defense, this tiny little screen. So now I got to go find a pick, see if I can get that out so I can replace this. Well, I was wrong about that. There's nothing in here, just a little blank hole. So still, I don't know what those little filters, I see that they are screens, I just don't know where they go. Well, I did figure out where those little black screens are. There it is, right there. Tiniest little screen I've ever seen. But it's, I guess it's a filter before the fuel goes in that tiny inlet in the injector. So, answered, finally. So the new injectors come with their own rubber O-rings, and they come with already installed filters. So I like the O-rings that came with the kit better, so I'm going to use these. And they didn't come with new metal rings, so I'm going to use the O-ring that came with the kit and the metal ring that came with the kit because it didn't come with one. Now that pin is going to go to that front slot right there, so let's line this up correctly. And these things generally go in with some difficulty. Because if that doesn't line up properly there, it won't go in. I've used petroleum jelly on the O-ring to get this to go before. Let's put this other one down, see if I can get this in here. I've seen guys actually take these and put it together and put the screws in it and put it together with the screw. I don't like that, forcing it like that. There you go. It'll go easily. You just spin it around a little bit. Let me get the other one in, and then I'm going to pull apart that, I'm going to pull the diaphragm out of this real quick. Be right back. So this wasn't done too long ago, so this is probably actually a really good diaphragm still, but if you're going to take it apart, you might as well refresh it all. And yeah, these things are crazy. There's this spring in here that's going to try to fly all over the place. So when I do this, I take the two opposite bolts out first, and it just leaves the other two opposite bolts to hold it in, so you're not trying to like go around and take them out. If you take two out of one side, the spring will try to push it out weird. So this is the crucial part. Make sure you're holding it while you take the last one out. You see it's trying to push against my hand already. So there you go. It's crazy how long this spring is and how much pressure they put on these things. And here's the inside, by the way, of what that adjustment would be. If you take all this, if you can get all that cap out of there, there's actually a screw or some kind of set screw in there. I've never opened it all the way up. Maybe on the next rebuild, or if I have the money, I'll buy one that's adjustable, because I see they make adjustable ones, and I wouldn't know which way to turn it anyway, so I'm going to need the adjustable kit anyway to tell me which way to increase or decrease the pressure. So yeah, this was definitely Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this diaphragm. I'm going to save it for a rebuild, but I'm putting a new one in anyway. Be right back. So these diaphragms only go on one way. See, when it's on this way, that tab hits right there. You got to make sure you put it on the right way. Otherwise, the diaphragm could buckle up and it won't seal correctly, and then you'll wonder why you either got a leak or whatever's going on. This is the most difficult part, by the way. And I believe they give you these two long screws to hold it temporarily while you put the shorter screws in. I just go for it the way I know how to go for it, with muscle. And it's hard because, see, if you let it twist just a little bit, it'll jump all over the place. This is always the worst part of this job, by the way. Okay, this camera's in my way. Let me get out of the way of the camera for a second and get two screws in. Well, I'm getting weak in my old age, so I did use those screws, and they work pretty good to get you lined up, and they hold the diaphragm in place while you're pressing down. So yeah, I would recommend using them. So I'm going to finish this up and I'll be right back. Now, when you do get this together, make sure that the rubber gasket doesn't go too crazy, because if it doesn't stay straight, it may not seal correctly, and then you'll have a nightmare. You see how that has that little ripple in there? Let's get the back side tightened down some. All right, it'll flatten out. I'm just watching to make sure it doesn't buckle up under and create a wrinkle in it so that it doesn't seal properly. There you go. Yep, it's straightened out, so it's all good. This wasn't even necessary on this throttle body because that last one that was in there was still in perfect condition. But, you know, it is what it is. You're doing a rebuild, do the whole rebuild. If they gave you parts to change, change the parts. I've never had a rebuild kit come with really bad parts that I can remember in 40 some odd years of rebuilding carburetors, throttle bodies, all that crazy crap. So there you go, that's back together. Now it's time for it to go back on the injectors. So you got your two new gaskets, and I dropped one. That's not good. Hopefully I find it. You got a gasket that goes on here too. So let me locate that gasket. Okay, so thankfully I didn't lose it. Okay, so we got the three long ones over here. That was unexpected. The other phone died. as I was doing this. So it's on the charger now. And this one's now saying power saving mode, so that sucks. This might die too. I'll get as much of this as done as possible. It won't be long though, because I mean now, this is the harder part of the rebuild, so it's done pretty much. And these don't even have to be that tight, really. You don't want to go torquing down on this thing and cracking this anyway. Just go around and snug them all up really good. They got little lock washers on them. So all you really got to do is get it to where it presses the lock washer and just snug it up. You'll know if it's leaking, because when I start this and I look at it, you'll actually see gasoline seeping around. But just keep going around it in a pattern and go until you really can't turn them anymore, and that should be plenty, because the gasoline is also going to make the gasket grow, enlarge, help it seal. But that should be it. That's good. She's back together again, ready to go back on the throttle body. All right, I'll be right back. So these gaskets only go on one way. They've got this little thing here, and if you put it on the wrong way, you see it won't fit. Some company sells these in a riser pattern. I'm just going to give this a try. I'm going to try to just use 2 and see if it helps any with the performance on this thing. See it correctly. Let me see if this will even work. Yeah, it doesn't have a whole bunch of threads to tighten down, but it only has to be tight enough to where it doesn't leak. So yeah, I was going to mention the name of that company, but I forget everything. And I know you guys are looking at this thing. Oh, no, you're not. Oh, sorry about that. I had hit the camera with my shoulder, didn't even know it. And I don't even know what I was saying, so I'll just say it again. I'm trying to use both of these gaskets, the ones that this sit on, to raise it up a little bit. I saw somebody do it in a video where they bought a aftermarket one, and it's thick. It's more like a spacer than a gasket. So, oh yeah, it's tightening up enough. I was worried that the threads wouldn't be long enough, but no, it's tightening up nicely. So, as long as it doesn't leak, I'm good with this. You know, I know you guys are probably looking at this thing, and there's one thing that's crazy. These are like this, and you see how this is turned like that? Well, that's how the guide pin put it in there. So when it was rebuilt, because most of these things are all rebuilt by some cheap company in some third world country. So, you know, if they put it together a little bit wrong, they put it together a little bit wrong. As long as the thing squirts fuel, that's all I care about. Hopefully it squirts fuel good. But looking at this one being cockeyed like this, I'm almost saying that this one's going to be a poorly rebuilt when obviously the guy wasn't paying attention when he put the electric conductors back in and put them back in straight. So, and I'm just slowly torquing this down to crush these two gaskets together. I don't want to go trying to over torque this thing and kill it. No, that's about as good as it's going to go right there. I don't know what that does to help. I think it helps disperse the gas because it's got an extra eighth of an inch to go down. I don't know. Anyway, she's together. Put our rubber boots back on. Now, I want to see something real quick before I put. Yeah, see how that's twisted like that? Now the boot doesn't want to sit down inside here. That's crazy. What a poor design. I might have to leave this boot off now. That's not something I wanted to do. Let me see something. Come here, you. Oh, as long as I can get that on, I'm good with that. All right, be right back. All right, so I had to make an adjustment here, and now make sure everything's snug enough. Doesn't need to be so snug that it breaks anything, but yeah, everything is good. That one was kind of loose. Well, glad I went back around it. These are probably tighter than they need to be, but better safe than sorry. Yep, we're good. All right, now that we're back in, we're all good. All right, let's get this thing on here so I don't forget it. Not that that's very important, really. All right, now. You didn't see it, but I just put the new nylon O-rings on these two inlet connectors. That should be plenty tight. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. When I turn it on, I'll check and make sure nothing's leaking anyway. All right, now look at these. I also put new O-rings on the ends of these. So we shouldn't be able any leaks. I also put on all the front vacuum lines and this vacuum line here. So we're in good shape. Ugh, I keep hitting this stupid thing on my shoulder. So sorry if some of these videos are out of line. It's just I'm trying something new here with these. I got this like octopus. Yeah, that's enough. We don't need to destroy that rubber O-ring in there. This octopus stand that I got, tripod. Good. Come on. One more little. Yeah, we're all good. All right. Plug our throttle position sensor back in here. There you go. Plug back in the. Come on. Whatever this thing that is, I keep forgetting the name. Guess it's your fuel pressure going in. Don't know. And last but not least, get our linkage back hooked up. Come on. If I drop any more stuff, I'm gonna lose everything. Come on. You got it. There you go. All right, there you go. Now we're all back in shape here. I'm gonna start it real quick. Can't start it without the battery hooked up. Be right back. Okay, so she's all back together. I had to put the coolant back in because I drained 2 gallons of coolant so I could do the thermostat. So I was running that through a filter so I didn't get any crap in the cooling system. Anyway, she's ready to go. So let's see what she wants. Well, I see 2 clean cones of fuel, so I'm going to count this as a victory, and hopefully when I fill up the next time, I'll have better gas mileage. So thanks for watching, and have a great afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and may the force be with you, people. I'll be back.